Well, with so much focus placed on the alleged Russian infiltration of our presidential election, another possible threat to our democracy may have slipped through the cracks, and that is China. A new Department of Defense study has raised some alarm bells about what Beijing may be up to. That report discovered the Chinese government is directing investment companies with close ties to invest heavily in American technology startups, mainly firms dealing with sensitive military technology. Well, some fear China may be more after the profits, but some American secrets as well. Our next guest is an old China hand, is the author of this new book that chronicles his father's service in World War II, from the Homefront to the Battlefront, an Ohio teenager in World War II. I'm pleased to have Frank Lavin with us. He's the former U.S. ambassador to Singapore, Undersecretary of Commerce in the George W. Bush administration. Ambassador, good to see you.
Thanks, Eric. Good to be here.
Now, you're head of a company called Export Now.
Right.
You work in China, so you know how they think.
Sure.
What are they up to?
Look, I'm not surprised at all that we're seeing this story, meaning much of U.S. technology innovation has some kind of security or defense application, and we should fully expect that foreign countries would seek to acquire that legally or illegally. So the fact that we're seeing indications of Chinese companies, some of them that are government linked, investing in these startups and so forth, shouldn't be a surprise. I think really the burden's on us in the United States, our tech companies, our investment groups, the FBI, to make sure we've got the proper enforcement mechanisms, the proper protections in place.
Do we have that now, and do you think they can pluck out our secrets?
I think we historically have done a pretty good job with it, but I don't think it's fully up to speed to where we need to be in this tech age. Meaning historically, we have this CFIUS mechanism. CFIUS is a Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States that reviews, approves the security implications of acquisitions. So if a German steel mill wanted to acquire a U.S. steel mill, it had to go through a formal review process to see if there were security implications. That worked very well. This is different. This is just investments in tech companies where people are trying to acquire specialized technology that might have defense application. I don't think we have a full system in place to guard against that.
The CFIUS, some are concerned about the Russian uranium ore deal, that the Russians grabbed. So are you confident that we can address this at some point?
Yeah, I think so.
To protect us.
I think so. What we've got to do is broaden the scope of CFIUS so it allows for investment, not just acquisition. We've also got to make sure the FBI is working closely with the tech community people need to be on guard, that if you're getting inquiries and investments from overseas, you need to have a reporting mechanism. You need to get help from people in the intelligence service in the United States to make sure you're not making any mistakes.
And meanwhile, we got one eye over there looking for what they're doing. What about North Korea?
Yeah.
I mean, they have protected North Korea at the Security Council all these years. They're responsible for 90% of the trade. Why won't they? What would happen if they turn off the spigot, the oil, and just turn off the lights?
Well, but there's two or three scenarios there, one of which is positive, that North Korea sort of moves toward a more rule-abiding regime. That's the positive scenario. The less positive scenario is that there's economic collapse and then China gets the refugees, so they don't want that. Or the worst case scenario is some kind of conflict breaks out. Nobody wants that. So there's risk involved in a complete shutdown. I don't think we would seek that from China. What we in the United States do want from China is more of an edge to what they're doing in North Korea, a harder push, tougher sanctions, tougher economic might to help North Korea move the right way.
The Secretary of State Tillerson was just there. Do you think that the Chinese will finally get that message and they'll take stronger action?
Well, interestingly, I do think they're getting the message, not so much necessarily because we're directly requesting it, but because they see South Korea putting the THAAD, the anti-missile system, in place. They're concerned about South Korea moving more toward us. They're concerned about what we might do. So they know unless they play some kind of constructive role in this process, there's a chance that South Korea or even Japan escalate themselves.
And finally, we got all these threats we talked about. Your book is about your dad. He, a teenager from Ohio, was in the Battle of the Bulge. My dad shot down in B-24. What lessons are there from our fathers to the new generation when you consider the threats that we face as Americans today?
Well, that was an era of enormous national sacrifice. Your dad, my dad, several million Americans under arms. I think what I take away from that book is, look, we concerned in history about what Churchill did and what Truman did, what Eisenhower did. Let's not forget that it's 1 million or 2 million teenagers or 20-year-olds that are actually fighting that war, and the country called on them to make that sacrifice. They rose to the occasion. The Battle of the Bulge is the greatest battle, the largest battle the U.S. Army has ever fought. 600,000 direct combatants, 400,000 support combatants. I mean, a massive 1 million people in one battle, 20,000 American casualties, 20,000 killed beyond the casualties and 40,000 prisoners. So extraordinary price to pay to hold that line and make sure Hitler didn't smash through the Ardennes. It's a tough story, but it shows you, I think, when the chips are down, your dad, my dad, rose to the moment.
We can take inspiration and have aspirations from what they have done in the service in the past. Frank, congratulations on the book.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll get you back to talk about China, because that issue and North Korea are not going away.
Not going away.
Of course. Thank you.